It started like a whisper in the night, then sirens, screams, explosions, silence, and now chaos. Just 5 minutes ago, Iran launched its 18th wave of missile and drone strikes on Israel, the most brutal and coordinated attack yet. What the world is witnessing is no longer a threat or speculation. This is war, and this time Israel is on its back foot. For the first time in modern Israeli history, the entire civilian population of major cities was ordered to evacuate at midnight. Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, Haifa, Ashdod, ghost towns by dawn. Every citizen told, get underground, get out or get ready. So how did we get here? What triggered this massive escalation? What exactly happened just minutes ago? Let's walk through the fire, piece by piece. This wasn't just a random strike. This was a full-scale bombardment involving over 2,000 ballistic missiles, suicide drones, decoy aircraft, and electromagnetic jammers launched simultaneously from Iran, Lebanon, Iraq, and Yemen. This 18th wave is without a doubt the largest and deadliest wave so far, far eclipsing every prior attempt to overwhelm Israel's defenses. But this time something chilling happened. Israel's famed Iron Dome, David's Sling, and Arrow 3 defense layers, well, they buckled. According to initial reports, over 60% of incoming missiles struck targets directly, including airfields, energy plants, data centers, and military bases. At exactly 12 o'clock a.m. Israeli time, the Israeli Defense Forces issued a national Level 5 emergency broadcast. For citizens, this meant just one thing: evacuate or take shelter underground. Buses, military vehicles, and even taxis began moving civilians en masse to pre-designated underground bunkers. Trains were halted, airports were shut. Ben Gurion International Airport was turned into a military logistics hub, and, well, all civilian flights were grounded indefinitely. The world watched as images surfaced of families fleeing with nothing but children, Idaho cards, and prayer books. This wasn't just military aggression, this was psychological warfare. Iran's state-controlled channels broadcast the attack live. Dozens of Iranian drones filmed the explosions and relayed footage back to Tehran, where it was aired with triumphant music and slogans. Zionism is falling, resistance is rising. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, claimed responsibility, calling it Operation Storm of Justice. According to a statement released just minutes after the attack, this was retaliation for decades of crimes, and, it is only the beginning. The global response has been instant and, honestly, panic-laced. The United States raised DEFCON to Level 2. The President issued an emergency press statement declaring, "The United States stands with Israel. We will respond accordingly." Russia, while silent officially, is rumored to have held private talks with Iran just hours before the attack. Satellite images show strategic movements near the Caspian Sea, suggesting quiet coordination. China has called for, calm, but has not condemned Iran, fueling fears of new East-West polarization.
Not to retaliate excessively, but continue to emphasize that they support Israel's right to defend itself. On the other hand, Russia and China called for an immediate cessation of violence. Gulf countries such as Qatar and the United Arab Emirates also expressed concern about the potential for the conflict to spread to their regions. The President of the United States held an emergency meeting with intelligence and military chiefs. Meanwhile, humanitarian organizations began to prepare for a potential new refugee crisis if this war escalates further. This attack proves one important thing. Iran now has the ability to strike long-range with dangerous accuracy and volume. They are able to design complex attack schemes, combining drones, missiles, and high-volume saturation that is enough to disrupt enemy defense systems. For Israel, although most of the missiles were successfully intercepted, the psychological effects and strategic losses were still felt. And going forward, the pressure will come not only from Iran, but also from Hezbollah in the north or other Iranian proxies in Iraq and Syria. In other words, high-tech asymmetric warfare has begun.
This isn't just a military strike, it's a symbolic one. Israel, long seen as the regional military superpower, is bleeding openly. Videos emerging from within show destroyed highways, smoldering buildings, and ambulances moving in convoys. One widely circulated clip shows Israeli soldiers praying beside a crater moments after an entire platoon was vaporized by a drone strike. IDF spokesperson Daniel Hagari stated, "This is a direct attack by a sovereign state. It's not Hamas, it's not Hezbollah, this is Iran. And we will respond with overwhelming force." This war isn't just a Middle East conflict anymore. It's, well, a litmus test for the global system. International law was already fragile, but with this, Iran has openly challenged a nuclear-armed nation and its Western backers. Meanwhile, nuclear warheads sit in Israeli bunkers, and honestly, the temptation to launch a decisive retaliation is growing by the hour. To understand the explosion, you must understand the match. Years of assassinations of Iranian scientists by Mossad. Dozens of Israeli airstrikes on Iranian generals in Syria. Iranian weapons flowing into Gaza and Lebanon. Cyber attacks, sabotage, blockades, threats, all part of the shadow war. But most of all, the failure of diplomacy. The world watched the JCPOA nuclear deal crumble, watched sanctions crush Iran's economy but embolden its hardliners, watched Palestine burn and Lebanon collapse and did nothing. If war escalates now, millions could die on both sides, but there is still a sliver of a chance to de-escalate. First, global mediation led by neutral powers like Turkey, Qatar, or Switzerland. Second, an immediate ceasefire deal brokered through the UN Security Council, with guarantees on both sides. Third, a fresh nuclear treaty not focused only on Iran's weapons, but including Israel's undeclared arsenal. Fourth, establishing a regional peace bloc, including Arab and Jewish states willing to enforce neutrality. As of this moment, the Israeli sky is still lit with defense rockets. Iran has hinted at a 19th wave within hours, and citizens in both countries are bracing for more death. The question is no longer will there be war, it is how far will it go, and who will survive it? Pray for peace, prepare for more, because this is no longer a warning. It's history being written in flames.